Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch study session for Tuesday, April 22nd. Our first order of business this afternoon will be public comment on study session items. I do not have anybody signed up to speak. Anybody here wishing to speak? Seeing none. We'll move on to item C1, which is review and discuss consent and regular agenda items. Councilman Rowan?
Nothing for me.
Councilwoman Bennett?
Nothing from me.
Councilman Reed?
Yes, I'd like to move item J4 from the consent agenda to the regular agenda, please.
Item J4, moving from consent to regular agenda, will become item L2. Everybody good on that? All right. Anybody else? Councilman Jackson?
No changes, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Neal?
Nothing, thank you.
All righty. Thank you. Next up is item C2, receive a presentation from Public Works on the traffic signal operations at the intersection of Denton Drive and Valley View Lane.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. Ray Silvares, Director of Public Works. I'm excited to bring to you a discussion here at the intersection of Valley View Lane and Denton Drive. This intersection has been critical for the last couple months, especially with the changes that have been going in the area. It's a short presentation that I have here before you, but there's a lot going on in that intersection. So I'll go ahead and get started. So as you're aware, the area that we're questioning is that Valley View Denton Drive intersection, and to kind of explain what's going on here, we have TxDOT doing the I-35 service main lane and service road expansion right there to the west. That right there has cut off the access from Pike Street. Right now they're doing the service road and have most of the traffic onto the existing pavement. That in combination with the Dallas Stars, the recently built Dallas Stars multi-sports building, has created quite a bit of congestion, in the sense that there used to be an outlet there at Pike and at Carrick. Carrick Street has been abandoned. It's no longer connects to 35, but Pike will connect, but just doesn't connect at the moment. So it causes all the traffic from the area to go up to Denton Drive to the intersection. Specifically more on the Saturday mornings when we have tournaments, it does kind of back up there. In connection with that as well, you do have the the intersection of 35 and Valley View that is under temporary traffic signals. And those temporary traffic signals are they're basically what we would call a dummy signal. They only move one intersection leg at a time. They don't run anything simultaneously. They don't allow the southbound and the northbound to run at the same time. They just allow one leg at a time. And so that creates a backup, which each leg has about 45 seconds for the green cycle. So as you're building up traffic on the northbound of Denton Drive right there at Valley View, you also have backup coming up from the westbound at 35. And in addition to that, you do have the narrowing of the lanes. As you're coming up from the east side heading west, you did have a 3-lane configuration, which has now been reduced to 2, with the right turn lane going to the northbound. So as people are trying to merge into that connection with the outlets of Pike and the abandonment of Carrick, and the additional traffic that the Denton Stars Multi-Sport Center is bringing, has created a bit of a backup. And then we do have the restaurants to the north of Valley View, Chipotle and Starbucks. So as residents come here or visitors to the sports center, they're also not wanting to get in their car and go, so they'll be walking to the intersection. So whenever the pedestrians hit the pedestrian button, it adds time to the signal as well. So it doesn't run in the cycle. It gives it a little bit extra longer time for the pedestrians to get on into the intersection and cross it. So with those situations going on there, and then of course you have your usual suspects. You have the dart to the east, that especially when it's going back and forth throughout the day, those arms that come down do create backup as well. And then the occasional emergency situations that go there through the Omnicoms will make those lights be red. So with all that combined together, you do have the perfect storm, especially when we have the tournaments. That creates a little bit of a backup, but mainly on your Denton Drive, Public Works staff has tried to maximize the green cycle, especially the left turn to head westbound coming out of Denton Drive, to allow more time to kind of let people exit as quickly as possible. Right now, with the current project that we have to Denton Drive, we're trying to minimize the disruption to that area as well as you're coming out, because again, you can only go one way. Fortunately, you're allowed to go to the southbound traffic only, and so it does create where you can go all the way down to the 635 Service Road. So all those combinations that I spoke about does create a little bit of a backup. We have timed it to where it does allow it to kind of moderately egress out of that area. We are looking at working with the COG as well to see if there's any opportunities or any upcoming grant opportunities that we can see that would help us substantiate or help minimize the downtime there with the traffic signals. Again, it is a short presentation, but just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on behind there. And with that, I will entertain any questions that the council may have.
Thank you, Ray. Ray, I have a question, and that is with respect to the service road that's being paved at Pike.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea when that will be available for access?
So they're saying that towards June, late June, early July, they're looking to kind of have that traffic switched over and hopefully open up that connection between Pike and 35. So that would alleviate some of the congestion problems there and give another escape route for those people in that area.
Okay, all righty, thank you. Councilman Roman?
No questions.
Councilwoman Bennett?
I don't have any questions.
Councilman Reed?
Hey, Ray, thanks for the presentation and the information. I know this is totally out of your control, but do we have any updates on the progress of TxDOT and what they're doing? Any timelines?
So other than the major completion of this project is supposed to, for the I-35 expansion, is supposed to be December, maybe come around January 2026. So we're getting closer. I know still far away, but that's the latest news that I've gotten from them. And they're hoping that will come sooner than later, as we all do.
Okay, excellent. And then I appreciate the information regarding Pike Street, knowing that's, June, July timeframe. I think that'll alleviate a lot of pressure, not only at Valley View and the service road, but also the intersection of Denton and Valley View. So I think that's great news for the folks that travel that area.
Yes.
All right, fantastic, thank you.
Councilman, I will tell you, I speak with Ceason Clements, who's the project engineer for TxDOT, overseeing this project out here on I-35 every month, and have been for quite a while, and they're still maintaining the same time schedule. And every month when I walk up there, I don't even have to ask her now. She says, we're still on schedule. So I trust that she will let me know if something changes, because I'm in her face about it every month. Councilman Jackson.
Thank you, Ray. So you said Pike Street will be opened up June, July timeframe, right?
Correct.
So really the only relief that's going to provide is whatever number of cars are going to back up from Valley View Lane up to the service road. If you're going west on Valley View Lane, you're going to be stopped at that red light, and those cars are going to back up. And there might be a few cars that make it to Pike Street, go right to make a shortcut and go east. That's really the only relief that's going to.
That's really the only upcoming relief that we see, other than when the construction for the TxDOT project is completed. But yes, sir.
We can't really see south of Carrick, but if someone was coming off of 35 on that service road, they turned right on Pike Street and then made another right on Denton Drive. Is there another way to get to Denton Drive once you get off the highway? I can't remember if that road, like Farmers Branch Lane, that goes all the way through.
So Farmers Branch Lane does go all the way through.
But it's,
So if you come up, going 35 Service Road, hang a right on Pike, and then hang a right on Denton Drive, you can go down to Farmers Branch Lane to go back to the service road. But currently, with the project of the reconfiguration of Denton Drive, we have it closed right now. So we're hoping to start, the contractor is moving as fast as he can, and he's doing actually a pretty good job. That will open up maybe towards the fall
Okay.
and kind of provide some more relief in there as well.
But if I'm coming off of 35 heading north, by the time I land on the service road, Farmers Branch Lane's behind me.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that's what it wasn't in the picture, so I couldn't tell. All right, that's all. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Ray. This congestion you expect to be roughly or fully relieved in December, January timeframe when the TxDOT project is done?
We do, I mean, you'll still have, with the influx of the multi-sport center, that the influx that it brings in, it will, I mean, we'll have, the good thing is you'll have the smart infrastructure for the signals over there that will be running simultaneously with the left turn signals as well, and you have the full use of all lanes that are there. So you have the 3 that go through, the 1 that turns right, and the Texas U-turn as well too. So you'll have more options as far as lane availability goes.
Okay, so generally it should be relieved by the December,
Correct.
January time. And then you mentioned that you're in touch with the Council of Governments for possibly some grant money. What types of money are you looking for to do exactly what? What funds to do exactly what? Is it just
so-
replace some lights or something, or what?
In some instances, they are offering money for smarter infrastructure as well to maybe the traffic signals to match what TxDOT's putting there. So we're keeping our eye open to see what they're putting out there, especially with what other grant calls they may have coming up in the future. Right now, they don't have any, but just letting the council know that we do have our eyes open out there.
So mainly for traffic signal
Yeah, improvements and
grant
stuff like-
money for traffic signals.
Improvements, yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Do you think that the narrowing that we're doing or have done on the Danton Drive, has it all contributed to this congestion? Has it increased it? Do we know traffic numbers?
It's tough to say because, again, prior to the narrowing, we didn't have the sports center. And so with that, it's just tough to compare what was not there with the narrowing. But I haven't seen it, like in the weekends on Saturday, I know it does back up pretty good. We got that to a good pattern to where you are waiting a little bit, but you're getting out of there pretty efficiently. It would be something staff and I will have to monitor as time goes on and we get more data behind this.
All right. That's all. Thank you, Ray. That's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Very good. Anything? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on something. So can you talk a little bit about, are we going to do anything in the interim, knowing that we're going to possibly move forward with a traffic signal there? What is the solution in the interim? And then while construction is going on, what does that look like as well for a potential Band-Aid solution?
So in the meantime, we've increased the turn signals as well in the green cycle in that intersection to allow for more expedient movement through there. Again, you're still moving quite a bit of traffic. And then especially with the pedestrians crossing to the north side, it does kind of, you got to play a little bit of a balance there as far as how much green time you give and what you're causing to back up. But we have maximized that green cycle based on observations from what we've seen out there. And in the meantime, like I said, there's not really a good solution until TxDOT kind of provides that outlet through Pike for now, because we're kind of limited what we can do out there.
Okay. And then during construction of a traffic signal, is the solution that you just talked about viable at that time as well?
So for the traffic signals that I was talking with Councilmember Neal was for future potential future grants that we may come across to kind of get that smart technology to where it can look and see if, hey, I need to add more green time or it's fine for me to put a red here and let the green cycle goes for the other cross sections. So those are things we're going to keep an eye out for. We don't have anything in at the moment right now, but with the current project, we're just reconfiguring the existing street signal since we're narrowing it from the 4 lanes down to the 2 lanes to allow for better movement through that area based on the new configuration that will be soon proposed or will be soon constructed.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that if we're going to be moving forward with whatever project it is, whatever we're doing now, I want to make sure that we assess the viability of that strategy during any sort of construction or project that might be ongoing, so that we don't just say, well, the solution is coming, just, ignore the noise for now, so that we have something for the people who are crossing that street.
Absolutely. And then once we start to see the functioning signals from the 35 area, we'll try to match those so that we can have that, you're not just hitting red here and red here. We'll try to do a seamless flow of traffic on the east-west. And so this should help out with that as well too, but we won't know until those signals get put in.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Okay. Very good. Thank you. Next up is item C3, receive a presentation from Fleet Operations regarding fleet replacement guidelines and schedule.
Good afternoon, Kevin Reinhardt, Fleet Operations Manager. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so Kevin Reinhardt, Fleet Operations Manager. Thanks for your time. So I've got a short presentation on the fleet replacement guidelines and schedule. Basically, when I first started here about 2 years ago, there was a distinct lack of a plan to replace our fleet assets. So I started working on a replacement schedule. Right now, I'm at about 5 years out. So I've planned out our fleet replacements for 5 years based on these guidelines. These guidelines are to establish a standardized framework that we can ensure timely, efficient replacement of city-owned equipment and vehicles. The replacement schedule outlines just a few simple, specific, time-based timelines for all the major vehicles that we have in the fleet. These are kind of based on the to reduce maintenance time and costs, get the vehicle downtime lower so the vehicles are more ready for the departments, improve some safety. Newer vehicles are inherently more safe for the operators as well as the other vehicles on the road. Environmental performance, newer vehicles are typically a little bit better on fuel mileage and carbon emissions. So operational efficiency, we're aiming to improve that by just having the vehicles in service more often. So departmental responsiveness falls back on that as well. If the vehicle's ready for service, the departments can do their job more effectively. One of the main reasons to do this is to create a long-term financial plan for replacing our fleet assets. And moving to this structure of a time-based fleet replacement schedule can help us better plan for the future without unknown variables. And then on the back end of that, a newer, lower mileage vehicle will get more on the resale. So we just auctioned off a Tahoe that had, it was a newer Tahoe that had less miles than the other ones, brought about 50% more on the resale value in the auction. And then one of the last things is to improve employee morale and potentially retain and attract employees. So if the employees see that the vehicles are taken care of and replaced on a timely schedule, there's a potential if it can, make them happier at their job. So, quick overview of the criteria. So police pursuit vehicles on a 3-year plan, fire apparatus on a 10-year plan with a reserve status of up to 15 years. Ambulance on a 5-year plan, specialized equipment, so your big sewer trucks, your backhoes, excavators, some of the more critical equipment is going to be on an 8-year. Trailers on a 12-year, and then just your general fleet's going to be a 10-year, 100,000 or 10,000 hour, whichever one comes first. So we're probably going to see 10 years based on our city size. This is kind of an overview of what vehicles are in each department. We're tracking close to 310, 320 vehicles in our system. So any questions?
Thank you very much. I am curious if you go back a couple of slides. Right here. I don't remember, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, at fire being 10 years vehicles. I thought we were keeping those a little longer. So has that changed?
It's potentially changed. So This is a guideline that I've put in place since I've been here, and based on my experience as a fleet manager, a 10-year frontline apparatus will be in service significantly more. It'll be ready for the job more. At 15 years, you start seeing a lot higher repair bills, and once they get to 20 years, it's like
Well,
a
20 years is
landslide.
probably way too long, but are you looking, instead of just saying 10 years, are you looking at the maintenance costs and all of that as we go along to say, okay, we've really had maybe no issues with vehicle A, so we could keep it longer, or is that going to be your set
So
philosophy?
my philosophy is, as an initial timeline for the vehicle, is to put it on a 10-year schedule. At that 10-year mark, when we're preparing for a budget, we can, make some adjustments to that. This specific vehicle, we can keep a little bit longer. With the timeline of fire trucks right now, they're almost 4 years before you get them delivered from order. So there's really a lot that can change in those 4 years on the status of that apparatus.
So is there any analysis to show what is due in this upcoming budget that we need to be considering as we get ready to have those discussions?
Yeah, so I've got the, like I said, the 5-year replacement plan. So I've looked out 5 years to see what's coming up. This is going to be a big year coming up. So I've got about 25-30% of our fleet is due for replacement based on these guidelines.
All righty. Thank you. Councilman Roman. Oh, I'm sorry. Or, yep.
Well, I had the same question, so it's just why I had asked for this.
Sure.
So I'm looking at the resolution that you've given us, where there's 3 new ones and however many replacements, 1, 2, 3,
12.
okay, 12 replacements. And then I looked at the service records on them, and that's the reason I had the question. The Nissan on there, which is an 06, so we're pushing 20 years on that, has 190,000 miles, but it was only serviced 6 times. So why, I guess my question then becomes, why Ford?
So why Ford? Ford is not the only manufacturer I look at. I'm kind of trying to simplify things as a fleet manager. This is my first fleet manager role. I've been in the fleet industry for a long time. Ford always seems to have a good product. That's not to say that GM and Dodge don't have good products. Typically Fords are a little bit cheaper. We've got a really good dealer network that's right in town. All of our parts are coming from a local dealer that's in town, and they've got a massive warehouse to be able to support us.
As I looked at the records, the service records, like the Nissan had 190,000 miles on it. The others had just over 100,000 miles on it, but they ranged from services from starting at 30 times being serviced all the way up to 237 services on one of them.
Right.
And so the quality is, I think, the other question at hand. And I just want to make certain that we're looking at that it's not, if we need to spend a little more to buy some time and a better product, then that's
Yeah.
what we need to do.
Yeah, and I think replacing things more frequently, so we're not getting to those super high mileage vehicles that are requiring, constant repairs, moving more towards a preventive maintenance-based department instead of a reactive repair-based department is really what I'm trying to get towards in this, so we can focus my technicians' time on just maintaining the fleet instead of repairing it.
How many accidents or vehicles have we had in the last month that we're having to
Last
replace?
month. So we had 2 police vehicles that were totaled. Neither one of them were our fault, from what I understand. And we had a animal control vehicle that was crashed and a parks vehicle that was crashed. So
So 4.
I don't believe any of those were our fault, but it is definitely a strain on our
On your
resources. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And you said that you were the one that had the plan. It's 10,000, what was it? 10 years, 100,000 miles or 10,000 hours.
Yes.
Is that similar to other municipalities?
Yeah, so the industry average for a municipal fleet, kind of in our size, is about 5 to 6 years of average age of the fleet. When I first started, we were tracking about 12 and a half years. It's down now under 10 to about 9.5. So we're moving in the right direction. We've got a long way to go still. So
Okay,
we've got a lot
thank
of
you.
old assets.
I appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you. Councilman Rowland?
I mean, I guess let me ask you this. So 10 years, 10,000 hours, or 100,000 miles, it's if one of those are hit, then we are going to replace the vehicle.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
There's really not that many that have hit that other than police vehicles. Police vehicles are ran 24/7 and they rack up the engine hours and the miles really quick. Your general fleet's not really going to hit that. It's kind of a safety net for me as a, potential to ask for something before that 10-year mark.
Yeah. And I just want to make sure I understood an earlier comment you had made. It sounds like there's a level of discretion that you have as you hit these metrics, as you're approaching the budget cycle to determine whether it's been hit or not. You're still looking at it to determine whether it needs to be replaced or not based off of the condition of the vehicle.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's what I wanted to make sure that we're doing, because, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of a resident, and I'll just tell you my own personal experience. I bought my car in 2015, and I just realized, I was like, oh, it's 2025. I've had it for 10 years, but I only have like 40 or 50,000 miles on it, because I really don't drive that much. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, well, in 10 years, this says that I should have a new vehicle, but in reality, mine is well maintained and taken care of and don't have any issues. So I'm glad to hear that we are taking a discretionary approach, but we have certain targets that alert us if
Yeah.
there's something that alert us when we need to start looking at potentially replacing it. So
Yeah. And the goal with this is to set up a long-term forecast for what we need to budget for.
Yeah.
Is the overall goal.
You need
Once
an
we get
assumption to
that
input into your
actual
budget.
Yeah, once we get to that actual budget year, and we go, okay, this is the vehicles that we should replace this year based on these metrics. And then we get with the departments and figure out, okay, what needs to be replaced. And then we set a priority list of where we're at on that. What I take into account the maintenance history, what we've done to it, how many miles on it, all those kinds of things. I'm tracking the fuel burn rate. So is the fuel mileage getting worse? Probably over time. And all of those things factor into the ultimate decision to replace an asset.
thank you. That's it.
Very good. Thank you. Councilman Reed?
Quick question, how much does new technology come into play in regards to the assessment of replacement?
Yeah, so obviously there's always constantly new technology that's coming out. I'm a forward thinker on technology, so I'm constantly looking at for, your generic fleet vehicle is going to have, new cars have lane keeping assist and forward collision warnings and braking, things like that. So there's a lot of safety things that have been coming in technology-wise. Yeah, so it's always what is the best for the departments to fill their needs, really. Sometimes technology can be really good, sometimes it can be a hindrance, and, I think we're seeing a kind of a rollback in some areas where we're going to more of a manual, like our fire apparatus and things like that. We're moving from more of a computer-controlled thing to more of a manual levers and things like that, so.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson?
Yeah, just one question. It seems to me that we're in a little bit of a transition period, trying to bring our average from 12 years. We've come down to about 9.5. The standard is 5 to 6. And so it seems like, I think we did that with fire. Fire vehicles, we kind of had to shift some schedules, and particularly given the amount of time it takes to get a fire truck, we're having to accelerate our purchases. But so is it fair to say in the next budget cycle or 2 or 3, we're going to have probably some increased costs, in trying to shift these schedules and these timelines back a little bit?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that's the case. There's kind of a bell curve, I'm sorry. There's kind of a bell curve in the replacement amount for what's coming up. So this upcoming year is going to be a lot more assets than last year, a lot less value because we're not having to replace fire trucks. We've gotten the high priority ones out of the way already, I think. So now we're catching up on all of the, the parks crew trucks and the utilities crew trucks and some of the
Right.
smaller value assets, but there's a lot of assets.
Right. So I won't be here for those discussions, but I do think it'd be important for the public and for you guys to focus on the fact that we are sort of in a transition period, because what residents are going to see is, good gosh, we're buying all these vehicles, right? We're spending all this money on these new vehicles like it's a permanent thing. Not necessarily. There'll be future shifts for other reasons, availability, timelines, growth, need, that kind of thing. But I do think that's going to be an important part of the discussions coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Neal.
Yeah, I'd just like to get some clarification on your comment regarding is it the 5 or 6 year municipal average, or is that a standard by which municipalities?
Yeah, so that's based on a industry standard for
So
municipalities.
the industry standard of 5 or 6 years for municipal vehicles. Now, is that inclusive of public safety vehicles or just all vehicles across the board? Or, because I know,
It's an average of all municipal type vehicles.
because I realize police and fire department are a little bit harder on their vehicles, I would think, than the average is. But I'm just concerned if we should maybe have a separate kinds of standards for public safety vehicles versus the non-public safety vehicles. Because I know that the average light truck vehicle here in the U.S. right now is 12 years in age, and passenger vehicles of 14 years. So now they're not police and fire vehicles, but I'm just wondering if our 10 years should that be increased? Should we, I mean, many vehicles these days are reaching $100,000 without 100,000 miles without any issues. So
Yeah,
I
and
just,
I can definitely break down those numbers if you'd like to see.
it might be
where-
helpful to know. I mean, that some of that. I mean, these F-150s that are non-public safety, 80,000 miles, 90,000 miles is really not that much for an F-150 that was built, 2010, 2009. It's just simply an age thing. But if the maintenance records don't show significant issues, then I'm not sure why we would need to replace them right now, other than just for age standard. So
Yeah.
that's just some comments to think about.
So in my experience, as you get closer to that 100,000 mile, 10-year mark, the potential for very expensive repairs grows exponentially. You could drop a transmission and that's $5,000, $5,000 or $10,000 on some of these newer vehicles. An engine is significant costs.
Do we have
wanna-
that? Do we have that history?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to see.
For our fleet, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to see some of that history of where we've lost transmissions, engines, major mechanicals
Yeah.
on non-public safety vehicles. But, all right, thanks. That's the only comments I have or thoughts. Thank you.
All righty, thank you very much. City Manager, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, just for my council, some points to clarify. The fire apparatus, one, they sit in frontline service for 10 years and they'll go into reserve status. That's one thing, is we keep it, but where it sits in the operational stance is very important. Councilwoman Burton, you mentioned the wrecks. If you go back a little bit further, we're actually at 6, not city's fault, and thankful for staff, no serious injuries. So some of these wrecks have been, if you've seen them, some of them have been posted for awareness, hard to watch because they could have been much worse. And then I want to make sure the council gets credit for that average going down as we do the budget cycle. You all elected to take a stance on it, to use some debt rolling off for bonds to allow us to accelerate the fire replacement schedule because we were behind and those are very expensive. And so it allowed us to get there. And then also, as you hear, there's more apparatus coming, there's more vehicles coming. I'm very confident what I've heard coming from the finance department and the deputy city manager on what we're going to see for as far as solutions to this. So you're not having to worry about, oh my gosh, what's the budget going to be like? Staff are already steering into that, and solutions for you all to consider are already being considered as well. So they're on it.
They're good, thank you. Anything else? No? Thank you. Keep us rolling.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All righty. Next up is item C4, receive an update from the mayor and council members regarding board liaison information from outside organizations and other meetings attended. Let me remind you that we did not do this at the last council meeting, so if you have comments from the last meeting, this would be your time to bring them forward. Please, Councilman Roman.
I'm good, thank you.
Since our last council meeting, we had another DCAD meeting. It was the valuation component for it. And I really want to, so everything has come out now. Everybody should have gotten their assessments in the last week. So it's important that you fight for your property taxes. There is, I think, there was a post on social media for Farmers Branch actually guiding everybody through that. So if you can walk back through that and find that and do that, that would be great. Otherwise, if you reach out to any of us, any of your council members, we can send that to you.
Thank you, Councilman Reed.
The main event that we had was yesterday. I know you're going to go into it a little bit more in detail, was the groundbreaking for the new NTEC facility up in Carrollton. It was well attended. It was great to see the four cities, Capel, Carrollton, Addison, and Farmers Branch, coming together in cooperation in regards to this new facility. And it was great to be part of that.
Very good, thank you. Councilman Jackson. Councilman Neal.
No updates.
Okay. I've got a few, and this is going to take probably a few minutes, but so I'm trying to condense 2 weeks' worth. So the North Texas Crime Commission, there's been 2 meetings since my last report on this. The March meeting featured a district attorney's panel where we had 5 local DAs that talked about challenges and what's going on in each of their counties. And then last week for the April meeting, the DEA made a presentation that was given by SAC Chavez to feature the DEA and really went into depth about the different departments within the DEA and what they do. So there's more than just folks showing up at your door looking for drugs. This was one of the better presentations that I've seen because he actually had 13 different departments within the DEA agency there to talk about each one of their individual assignments. So very interesting. We did have a shredding event. I believe that we had 130 cars come through in March, and so that was another successful event. And Envision, which is a local business here in Farmers Branch, hosted a breakfast at Park Cities Club. Councilman Roman, myself, attended that. And then in addition to that, Envision invited Councilman Roman and I to go to their headquarters in Wichita, Kansas. We spent 3 days there. And I will say this was a very fascinating trip because, one, not only did we learn about Envision, but we were jam-packed with touring everything that Envision does, from their Vision Institute and their school that they have there, which is for both sighted and non-sighted children, to their Eye Research Institute that they have, and then manufacturing facility in Wichita. Here in Farmers Branch, they also have or getting ready to launch their schools. They have a fully set up apartment to help people who have become blind learn how to cope and deal with the issue of being blind and become self-sufficient. And they also have a very large manufacturing facility here in Farmers Branch. They sew products, military uniforms for the Army. They make the safety vests for TxDOT and some other organizations. They make highlighters for the government. Envision is also the second largest printer of business cards to the federal government. So very fascinating what they did. While we were in Wichita, we toured Wichita State University, which has made a tremendous investment in innovation and technology. Super, super interesting to see what's going on there. We also toured Spirit Aerosystems. Spirit Aerosystems is now in the process of becoming Boeing. And at the Wichita facility, they manufacture 737s. So very interesting seeing their aircraft plant in action. Spirit also has an operation in Farmers Branch where they do some refurb work for various airlines. And that's located over off of Valley Branch Lane. Really important that we made that connection with Spirit, because ideally we would like to get more business in Farmers Branch at our local Spirit facility. And in fact, a couple of the executives that we met with at Spirit are going to be in Farmers Branch tomorrow, so I'll be meeting with them. We also toured Textron. Textron makes Beechcraft, you might know the King Air and some other models of their product, and Cessna, which makes Citation jets. So we saw various lines of the Citation jets being assembled. And again, this was a really interesting trip. I think the contacts that were made there were very good. Envision is trying to work with some manufacturers in the aircraft industry to actually do some small manufacturing here in Farmers Branch. And so as much a recruitment trip for Envision as it was for Farmers Branch. So we're very appreciative of that and want to thank them for that. I had a meeting with Commissioner Price, John Wiley Price, regarding a program that I'm working on with One Community USA, which is a diversion and reentry program that Sheriff Wayborn is doing over in Tarrant County. It's Rockwall County just signed on. Collin County is taking a look at it. And so I'm trying to help One Community get this diversion and reentry program instituted in the Dallas County Jail. Having gone over to Fort Worth for the graduation ceremony that many of the inmates went through, I was very impressed. And obviously, this program has proven its success, very high success rate. About 92% of the folks who go through this program don't come back. And that's what we want. We do not want repeat guests at the jail. So we're trying to do whatever we can to promote that. Lastly, not lastly, but some members of our Economic Development Department, as well as myself, attended the DCEO Real Estate Awards, and a couple of the awards that were given out touched on companies that were doing business in Farmers Branch. So it's always nice to be recognized and know that we have leaders in the real estate community that are looking out for our city. Some of us have been to Austin. Some may be going back as the legislature continues to debate certain items. And so I'm going to not get into that, but I do want to talk about DART and share some information with you. There's been a lot of misinformation floating around DART, and so I want to take a few moments just to sort of sum up what's going on and try to set records straight. So let me give you a little history first. DART's 43 years old, and a city of Farmers Branch, along with all the member cities of DART, pay 1 cent or half of their local sales tax to DART. So local cities, they charge 2 cent sales tax, 1 penny of that goes to DART. So for Farmers Branch, that amounts to about $25 million a year. And our service that we receive from DART consists of buses, light rail, and GoLink service. Last year, our city council voted to approve a resolution to lower our 1 cent contribution to DART to 3/4 cent. That resolution passed unanimously. That does not mean that we are trying to get out of DART. We are not looking to get out of DART. We are looking for an equitable solution to the situation that we're paying into. So I'm going to touch on that in just a moment, but just know that we are not looking to get out of DART. So why do we pass this resolution? Well, for several reasons. DART's governance has not allowed Farmers Branch to have a seat at DART board meetings. We share a representative seat with Plano. Farmers Branch does not have voting ability at DART board meetings. Again, Plano casts the vote. So to use an old expression, taxation without representation, you know, every city, every DART city should have a seat at the table, and it should have a vote. Now, not every city pays in the same amount of money, so that's something that needs to be worked out. But these are issues that we're talking to DART about. DART is not shared in economic growth related to the DART Light Rail Station development. And the reason that's important is currently, as I mentioned, we pay in about $25 million a year. According to DART's own figures and a consultant that they hired, an EY study, we're only receiving about $17 million of service benefit. So thus, we are overpaying for service by about $8 million. That's a very substantial amount of money. So all day long, we see empty buses running around Farmers Branch. DART Rail has a very low ridership from the Farmers Branch station. If you go over there now, you may see 12 cars. Maybe. Again, DART has not grown its service area in the 40-plus years it's been in existence, while the region has grown exponentially. So, as approved by our council, Farmers Branch joined 5 other cities in asking the Regional Transportation Commission for a study to consider the needs and effectiveness of regional transportation now and in the future. The system needs new growth in order to be successful. And Farmers Branch, you know, we're one of the smaller cities. We're not the smallest, Highland Park is, but we're one of the smaller member cities, but still our 1 cent is very important to the success of our city. DART's $3 billion, has $3 billion worth of debt right now. They want to spend another $2 billion on new buses and equipment. And based on the current ridership, which has not come back to pre-COVID figures, that just doesn't make for a very good spend at this time. So what have we done? When we passed the resolution, we were one of 5 other cities that passed the resolution. And we want fundamental change at DART. It's imperative that DART change. We've had numerous meetings. I've had one-on-one meetings with Gary Slagle, CEO of DART, and Nadine Lee, Gary Slagle, Chairman of the Board, and Nadine Lee, CEO of DART. But by lowering our 1 cent contribution, this is going to force DART to be more accountable to its member cities and provide us possibly with dollars to put back towards economic development, which we do not currently have. Not having these economic development funds puts us at an immediate disadvantage compared to other non-DART cities when we're trying to recruit businesses and offer incentives for those businesses to come to our city. So the cities that passed similar resolutions to lower their contribution, I'll call them the resolution cities, have been working with DART for before I was elected mayor, so that's going on almost 2 years now, for a more workable and equitable solution. Right now, all of us are subsidizing DART really for the benefit of the city of Dallas. These talks, as I mentioned, have been going on for a long, long time, and progress was not being made. So the resolution cities agreed to a mediation, which was to be overseen by the Regional Transportation Council. The mayors of Irving, Carrollton, and Plano were given the task of representing the resolution cities. So they were representing us at these mediation meetings. We didn't need everybody in the room. And after, again, a number of mediation meetings, many hours, no progress was made. So at the same time that those discussions have been going on, the Texas legislature has been considering some legislation that was brought forth by Senator Tan Parker to address this very issue. There are a couple bills that are working their way through the House and Senate this session, and so we'll see what happens. I am still a believer that we need to sit and talk with DART. I'm not willing to cut off discussion, and I've even had discussion with Chairman of the Board Slagle, not trying to work around the other resolution cities, but just trying to urge them to let's keep the talks going, because without continued dialogue, then nothing's going to happen. And I do think that we can get to a point of making something happen. All of the member cities need a long-term solution to the equity issue and the government issue at DART. We're not looking for a one-year short-term Band-Aid. The DART system needs growth and expansion. That growth, especially in terms of budget, shouldn't be coming from the 13 member cities and milking us to death. There needs to be a concerted effort to get new cities like Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto, Grand Prairie, Arlington, Frisco in the DART system. I appreciate what the RTC tried to do. Again, I go to RTC meetings every month. Sometimes we have more than one a month. I've sat in countless meetings regarding Transit 2.0, which is an initiative that the RTC has brought forward, and it's really a 25-year plan for regional transportation. We had one right before this meeting, and so we need a workable solution. We need an equitable solution for our cities. all of our cities. As mayor of Farmers Branch, I will continue to work with the mayors of the other resolution cities within the framework of the resolution that we passed for this more equitable realignment of DART. And I hope that we will get to a point where we will be able to, where DART will be able to achieve growth and expansion for a more viable regional transportation system. So I hope that sets the record straight a little bit on what is happening with DART. It's a very important issue, and again, we're not looking to get out of DART. We're looking for realignment. And I'm hopeful that we will get there. It's not going to be through the mediation process. It may be through partly legislative and partly DART committing to bend a little bit and not be so rigid in their thinking. Compromise was the word I'm looking for. They need to compromise also. So with that, that's all I have to say. Our next item is item C5, which is to review and discuss future agenda items. Councilman Roman?
Nothing from me.
Councilwoman Bennett?
I'd like to get an update on Hoya and the maintenance and service, and to include personnel services month over month since it has been opened.
Hoya Park?
Hoya.
Okay. Councilman Reed?
Nothing for me at this time.
Councilman Jackson?
No additions. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Neal?
Just one thing I'd like to request that we add to a future agenda item to discuss ordinance 3811. This is the Code of Ethics, Section 2-280, regarding the endorsement of political candidates. I'd like to have a discussion about that.
Very good. Thank you. I don't have any. So with that, I will read us into executive session. Item D1, City Council will convene into a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, to discuss economic incentives for Farmers Branch Project 2025.005A. D2, City Council will convene into closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, to discuss economic incentives for Farmers Branch Project 2025.006. Item D3, the City Council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072 to discuss the sale of real property located at 13309 Josie Lane. Item D4, City Council will convene in closed executive session pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property. Section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code to discuss economic development incentives, and Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code and Section 551.071, Chapter 2, to seek legal advice from the city attorney regarding previously proposed contract terms related to Farmers Branch Project 2022-001. Item D5, the City Council will convene into closed executive session pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or sale of real property related to Farmers Branch Project 2025-008. And item D6, the City Council will convene in closed executive session under Section 551.071, Subchapter 2 of the Texas Government Code to seek legal advice from the city attorney regarding the City Council's anti-discrimination policy. With that, we will recess this meeting, meet in the conference room for 10 minutes, and start there. We will be back out here at 6 o'clock. Thank you.